Hello and good morning, or welcome back if you've joined us in one of the two previous webinars in this week-long webinar series. Welcome to the third day. We've got some fun and excitement for you today, as always. But first of all, what's this webinar series about? Well, it's to keep you up to date with all the latest information on certification, ongoing post-certification maintenance, and of course, everything Brexit related when it comes to UKCA and UKTA. In yesterday's webinar, we discussed the intricacies of the UKCA mark transition, and tomorrow we'll take a look at the ETA to UKTA transition. But today, we're going to look at how to gain the UKCA mark. Just a quick note before we crack on. Each webinar and attributing slides will be available on our website, and you will also receive an email with a link to the recording and these slides. What I'll just do now while we have a second is I will, although it's been posted in the chat already, I'll post it again, and I'll post it again at the end so nobody misses it. Now I'm just going to take a step back in slide, so apologies there because I wasn't on the right slide to begin with. So let's crack on and ignore that admin error. Just a quick note, there's still time to register for the two final webinars. The one will be tackling UKTA transition, as I've said previously, but the final one on Friday will be looking at post-certification maintenance. You can still register for these by going onto the BBA website, and I've just given you the link there. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so each webinar today, tomorrow, and Friday starts at 11 AM prompt. Let's crack on, let's do this, shall we? Just a little bit of info about the BBA. As you know, and if you've been on these webinars before, the BBA have been around for over 50 years. And what we do is we help construction and manufacturing industries, and we help them build confidence. And that means helping out throughout the entire supply chain and all stakeholders involved, including yourselves. The BBA looks to develop long-term partnerships, so we're not here for the short term, as you can see by our 50-year plus history. And we want to enable manufacturers and other companies in the construction industry continue to grow in both the UK and global marketplaces. But it's important to note, the BBA always remain reassuringly impartial. Final point, as always, BBA are a for-profit organisation limited by guarantee. The BBA looks to reinvest in the industry as a whole, the construction industry, for the benefit of you, everyone on this webinar today, and all stakeholders in construction in general. As you know, if you've been on a webinar before, these are some of the numbers. Over 50 years, we've issued over 6,000 certificates and had 1,000 plus annual inspections, and there's a few other numbers there on the slide, which aren't as impressive, let's be honest, but needless to say, the BBA are doing some fantastic work. That's enough for the self-promotion. Let's get on with teaching you and helping you understand this UKCA stuff and things. So if you're a manufacturer or distributor based in the UK or situated in the EU, it's important that you understand the changes that are happening as they may affect your trading capabilities. This is especially true with CE marking and the introduction of UKCA marking, which the BBA can support and guide you through both the UK and EU markets to get what you need, to get the conformity you need to continue trading. So what are we going to get out of this webinar today? We'll look at a step-by-step guide to UKCA marking conformity, what other elements you need to consider, and finally, we'll have a Q&A session, your chance to ask those burning questions. If you have some questions, please use the Q&A function in this webinar. You can ask them at any time, and we'll try our best to cover any questions at the end. If we don't get round to asking those questions, we will get back to you. We try and get back to you in 5 working days. Sometimes the questions are detailed, some of them are really easy to answer, but we will get back to you. So who's presenting today? Let's impart this gentleman's fantastic knowledge on you all. It's Jason Harries. He's a business development manager at the BBA, and he's nearly 25 years of experience within the construction industry. So yet again, For the third day in a row, we are in very, very safe hands. And Jason, I'm going to hand the screen over to you and start presenting at your leisure.
Okay, you've got my screen up, Peter? Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for the introduction there, Peter. I hope you can all see the display on the screen in front of you. As Peter's explained, we're just going to sort of walk through a bit of a step-by-step guide for how the process works. And really, this covers a lot of the things that we most commonly go through and a lot of the questions that get asked to me daily when we go through this process. So just to begin, just a short little caveat just to say that this is given in good faith. Bear in mind that the BBA are more of a regulatory group in terms of assessing and certificating. We don't set the rules, we don't make the rules. The latest and most accurate information is all set by the government, and we are at liberty of what they say. So this is all given in terms of the latest information that we have as well. Okay, you'll see in front of you a timeline here, which is going to run across the bottom of the presentation.
Jason, sorry, just 1 second. I'm not sure that your presentation is showing. Just 1 second. Hang on 1 second. That is completely my fault. Okay, if you try sharing the screen now, that should be good.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very
perfect.
much.
So sorry about that. Apologies.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. You missed nothing on the last two screens. It was just me talking. So yeah, apologies for the small technical hitch this morning. Okay, as you can now see, there's a timeline that will run across the bottom of the screen. And this just indicates how far we are down the process. I've just tried to simplify it into a number of steps, so we've got a little visual guide. So the first thing that we come across, and the cause of many questions I get at the moment is people coming on saying, do I need to UKCA mark? Well, if you've seen one of my colleagues' presentations yesterday, goes into a lot more depth about this, but there's a couple of fundamental questions to ask yourself. Probably the easiest one is, do I have CE marking already? If you do, then the answer is going to be yes, you need UKCA marking for sales into England, Wales and Scotland. For the time being, Northern Ireland will maintain to accept the CE mark, as do Republic being part of the EU. Now, there may be occasions where you haven't had CE marking, but this comes back to really, are you covered by a harmonised standard, or what is now known as a UK designated standard post-Brexit? So if you're covered by a harmonised standard, which will be an EN number, EN 12345, for example, then you should have been CE marking, and you certainly should be UKCA marking. And we come across it sometimes where customers are saying, well, we've not CE marked, we want to UKCA mark. Can we UKCA mark? If you don't have a harmonised standard against it, there's nothing to be assessed against, and that means that your product is not required to UKCA mark and can't be UKCA marked. There are other ways that people choose to do, which is to create a technical approval, which is a whole different route to doing this. But essentially, one way you can look at it as well is check your competition. Are they CE marked? Are they UKCA marked? That's a good one that people sometimes use if you're in perhaps a niche section, or some of your products may fall into a different area. So first question is, consider, do you need it? And use those kind of parameters just as a gauge as to whether or not you may need it. So you've decided you need it, or you think you may need it. So the next stage, contact the BBA. You can either come through by email or phone us up. And come through, and the chances are you'll then be directed to either myself or one of my colleagues, a gentleman called Azif, and we will go through what the requirements will be with yourself, just to identify if we may be able to help you, if it's completely out of scope, etc. So you have to remember, the BBA, we work with construction products. Many other products need UKCA marking. Unfortunately, we can't help at this moment in time with things like toys or clothes or narrowboats. The information we need to capture from yourself, and if you can sort of prepare or look this up beforehand, is really, really useful. It's knowing what harmonised standards your product falls under, or also sometimes it will come under an ETA, and that's a European technical approval. These now need converting to UK technical approval, but these are the standards by which your product is assessed. So ideally, if you can find this information. And the second bit of information that really helps us, and you'll see why further in this presentation as I explain how it makes a difference to the level of support we give you. And that is this AVCP level. Now, typically this will be either 1+, 1, 2+, 3, or there is a level 4. And I'll explain what those mean a little bit later. But these are the key bits of information. I tend to simplify it into a sort of brief spreadsheet like that. If you have multiple products, list the product, list the standard, list the AVCP number. It'll help the conversation when we get started and just speed things up. But that's the information I'm going to need. Typically, where do you find this? If you look at your existing declarations of performance, it should all be on there. So if you're already CE marked, find your declaration of performance, you should have this information, or in the worst case, send me the declaration of performance and we can go through this together. So that's the information we need initially. That'll be the first conversation in the inquiry with the BBA. Then the next stage is we've established that there is something that needs support with the UKCA. So the next stage we move forward is an application form. Now, this is downloadable off the website. You can do it in advance if you wish, but I find just by having a quick conversation before, it tends to simplify the process. What does the application form involve? Key is we capture your company information, which would be the information that you would wish us to make any contract out to in the future. This doesn't have to be your UK entity. For many companies where they have a UK arm and a manufacturing side in Europe, it may be the European side which are applying for the UKCA mark. That's purely a commercial decision for your business. In this application form, we will capture a list of the products, the standards, the AVCP. If, as we've done on the previous slide, we may have already started to put this into a spreadsheet, then great, we've already got that information captured. And when you submit the application form, we'll often ask for supporting information, maybe copies of existing notified body test reports, factory production control certificates, or declarations of performance. And what is also key for us to capture in there is a list of your production facilities for those products, as you may manufacture in multiple sites. So that's then capturing all the details more formally so we can begin to process your inquiry. So how do we determine what is required? So a couple of slides ago, I mentioned these AVCP levels, and these are key because they indicate what we need to do in order to support you to UKCA marking. As hopefully anyone who's listened to my colleague's webinar yesterday will know, the responsibility for UKCA marking always lies with the person placing it on the UK market as manufacturer or distributor. So we don't physically put a stamp on for you, you put all of that on, but we're required to give you certain information. So if you're at AVCP level 1 or 1+, what we need to do is this output, which is a certificate of constancy of performance. So you'll be required to have one of those issued from us, a certificate of constancy of performance. Once you've been issued with that, you're able to go ahead and UKCA mark. So in order for us to give you one of these, we have to sort of go through and look at various different bits. So this is all handled through our main PAC department, who handle all your agreement certificates typically, and it will include a verification of factory production control, of any notified body reports, and a determination of product type, which in the case of 1+ may come down to reissuing test reports. So there's a number of works that we have to go through in order to do these. And the key information that we really need to sort of collect and collate as we're going through the application details of your current provider and contact, and I'll explain why that really helps when we go on to how these are priced. Advise us if we already conduct surveillance of your factory. You may be an existing BBA customer, you may have an Agreement certificate. It's not compulsory. We will support UKCA marking and UKTAs for anyone within the construction sector. And provide a list or copies of existing test reports. And again, as we said earlier, the relevant production locations. That's the key information. So that's the sort of work we have to determine at AVCP 1 and 1+ in order that we can issue you a certificate of constancy of performance that you will be able to go and UKCA mark against. If you come under an AVCP 2+ level, or some of your products do, then what you will be requiring is a certificate of conformity, a factory production control issued by ourselves. Now, this is all done for our audit and inspection department, who would typically conduct all the surveillance visits under the Agreement system. And they will do a verification of the factory production control, or they will do one from scratch. And when I come on to the pricing, I'll explain the difference on there. But effectively, that is an audit of the factory, and the outcome is the FBC certificate that we can issue you in order you can CA mark when it's AVCP 2+. So key information we need to capture on these is if we can get the information on the existing provider, and it's always worth providing a contact in case it's one that we don't already have an agreement with. Again, do advise if the BBA are already conducting surveillance. Please be aware that you may know us very well, that we deal with you for Agreement a lot, but some of these with UKCA will be dealt with by people who don't typically deal with your Agreement. So it is always worth just flagging this up to us, so we are fully aware. It will likely get picked up, but you know, much easier if you can make us aware as well. And again, provide details of all relevant production locations. So fairly consistent with the level of information needed on those too. Now we move on to AVCP 3, and this is a slightly controversial one at the moment, and one that I suspect there's a number of people listening who would be keen to hear more about. I'll go through the details in a moment, but typically the aim with this is that you would be either reissued with a test report or receive an assessment of your test report from us. And this is where it's a EU notified body issued test report. The requirement under UKCA is it has to be UK approved body issued. If you already have UK issued test reports that cover all of your products, then you'll be able to go ahead and mark. This is only for where they are EU test reports. Again, that would be handled through our test department, and so I'm jumping ahead. That would be handled through our test department, and they would assess these. Now, why do I say this is a slightly controversial one at the moment? Well, at the moment, the Minister for Housing, Communities and Local Government, MHCLG, the body of the UK government, have not formally agreed to the UK accepting EU notified body test reports. And conversely, the EU aren't accepting UK test reports at this moment in time. So obviously this leaves it a little bit up in the air, in that at present, nobody in the UK is able to commence work on anything with AVCP, excuse me, anything that's AVCP level 3. I'm having a lot of conversations daily with people about this. We are waiting for an announcement from the government shortly. The BBA have been very, very robust in badgering the MHCLG, Minister for Housing, Community and Local Governments, to get this moving, and as have other stakeholders, including Construction Product Association, and you may have seen this coming out in the press as well. Obviously, time is ticking, and we need the go-ahead on this. The likelihood is that something will be announced in the coming month. It may well be that they issue a period of grace. We don't know the exact details yet, but the speculation is they will likely issue a period of grace in which EU test reports will be accepted in the UK. and there's likely to be some stipulations, potentially, the age of the reports, are they under 5 years old, etc. We're waiting to hear all that, but it is likely there will be a period of grace. We know this affects particular sectors completely. Anyone in the fixing sector, anyone in the radiator sector, all your products come under this, and people are getting worried, saying, well, does this mean we won't be able to sell our product? I think because so many people are involved and affected, there's no need for panic on that. It is being flagged and raised daily with government, but when I say it's a slightly controversial one, it's because we are still waiting on government approval on this. This isn't just the BBA, this is the UK as a whole entity. It is a priority, it is being pushed very hard. We do expect more information on this shortly, but the intention is, once we get the go-ahead, it will be down to reissuing reports, in which case the key information we'll require from you in order to do this will be copies of your existing notified body reports. That's not internal testing, that's not where you may have used tabulated data. This really relates to information that you're required under your standard to have notified body tested. The one standard I've not mentioned on here, which I did mention at the beginning, is AVCP 4. Just as a quick insight, anyone who does have products under AVCP 4, that is a self-certification standard or level. So you're able to go ahead and self-declare and make your UKCA mark under AVCP 4. If you've already done it under CE marking, then no doubt you'll have all the information you need to do that. That will be an updated declaration of performance, and making sure that you've got the right technical folder and information. But if it's only AVCP level 4 self-declaration, you don't need anything from us on that. You can go ahead and mark. So we've determined what work is required in order to help you with the UKCA marking. The next stage is we'll give you a verbal estimate, so you know what sort of price the work's going to cost, before we then go ahead and start making up contracts. So how do we do this? Not some great dark art to it. We have a great science. We have a very fixed way of doing this. So with AVCP 1 and AVCP 1 Plus, they work very similar, that it is based on the number of standards and the number of factories. So you may have 10 products that all fall under the same standard that are manufactured in 2 factories. Well, in that case, we've got a set price for each certificate of constancy of performance. You would have one for the standard, and then there'd be a small additional charge for an additional certificate for the other factory. So that's how we sort of price those out. It's all fairly fixed. It's not as simple as saying it's X amount per product, because it works per standard. So you may have multiple products under one standard. The difference with AVCP 1 Plus is that we're required to assess and verify the test reports. As you may pick up, that falls under the same criteria as AVCP 3, for which we're still waiting on, obviously, government approval. So at the moment, 1 Pluses are just being delayed by awaiting the announcement from the government about accepting EU data. Okay, with AVCP 2 Plus, then the price again is based on the number of standards and the number of factories that the product is produced at, or that the products under that standard are produced at. Now, where I said earlier, it's very important that we capture who your existing provider of this is, particularly if the manufacturing plant is overseas, is as an organisation, we've been very proactive at reaching agreements with many of the providers of factory production controls throughout Europe. The reason we've done this is we are trying to avoid the duplication of work, which avoids the duplication of cost, or avoids increased cost and increased time. So where possible, if we have an agreement with the existing provider of factory production control of that factory, what we can do is piggyback on their data. We still have to verify it and confirm that it is correct, and we issue the certificate and subsequent license on the back of that. If I give a sort of a rough idea of the kind of saving, if we were to go to somewhere like Germany and conduct a physical inspection from scratch, it would be in the region of sort of £2,500. If we can work with the existing FBC provider it's around about £780. So as you can see, we're working hard to try and save yourselves and save money on this as well. So hence the importance, if you can provide us with that information on the FBC. We can do it either way, but that's what's required from there. And finally, the AVCP3, we have a method ready to go once we get the approval. And the way we do that is to simply look at the number of test reports you have, and we look at the number of test standards on each report, and that indicates how many man hours we're likely to need to spend on it, and we will cost accordingly. Now, these would be costed per product as opposed to costed per standard, because each product's going to have different numbering test reports. What we will look at on this, we try to apply a large degree of common sense when we're pricing them. And if there's a lot of tests from the same test body and they're all for the same standard, we will look at that commonality and we will factor that in when we're estimating and providing prices to you, because we know there's time savings in working that way, and we always pass those on. So that's how we sort of look to reach the way that we will price. So we will provide you a verbal estimate at that stage. At that stage, it's then for you to sort of go ahead and say, okay, yeah, we want to pursue this. So the next stage is we will issue a contract. We'll look to check that we've got all the data correct with yourselves. The contract will come out with you with a finalised price. As I said, at the earliest stage, we will provide an estimate. Once we've gone through it in the detail to issue the contract, you may find that that is slightly amended. If anything, certainly with things like the AVCP3, these are likely to come down rather than go up. But we will issue the final price on the contract. Once you're ready to go, simply sign the contract, return it to us. We'll raise an invoice. Either the invoice is paid or it's invoiced you on 30 days, depending on what your arrangement is with the BBA. Once it's paid or invoiced, then the work commences. You may find that one of our certification engineers or technicians request further information. There may be a need for a site visit, depending on what the requirements are. And once all that's been done, the relevant paperwork gets issued to you. So that will be the FPC or certificate of constancy of performance that you're able to then UKCA mark against. So at that stage, once you've got that relevant paperwork, you're free to go ahead and UKCA mark accordingly. And that's the final stage, is you applying this. The whole process has been intended that the UKCA mark mirrors the CE marking process. So largely the work that you've done or have for your CE marking will maintain. Just bear in mind certain things that you'll need to change to reference UKCA. Instead of harmonized standards, we say UK designated standards, and we put BS in front of the EN. So instead of being EN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it just becomes BS EN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your physical mark, as normal, will go on your product or go on your packaging, depending on what you produce. If it's not possible to go on either of those, it will be going on supporting literature, the same as it does with CE marking. And also you have your additional supporting technical documentation available, declarations of conformity, performance, ready for show on request, and full guidance on how to apply the UKCA mark and what's required. You can find that on the UK government website, and I would advise that as a really useful source of the most recent information. If things change, it will be updated on there, and it will give you all the information on size and the copies of the logo on there. I do hope that has given you a good insight into the process and what's required and the questions that we may ask you. I think we've come in bang at 11:30 for you. If there are any questions, if I could pass back to Peter to run through them.
Jason, thank you so much. Apologies for that technical hitch at the very start. That was completely my fault, and then I realised I was on mute, so I couldn't communicate it to Jason. So I'm glad it didn't affect things, and you've been as insightful as ever. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Peter.
Yes, we have a couple of questions. First thing that I'd just like to cover is Jonathan Ducker asked a question prior to the webinar, which me and Jason discussed, and we decided we just want further clarity before we answer that. So Jonathan, we will get back to you via email ASAP as soon as we can, once we've got clarity, because it was quite a complex question. So we'll answer that at a later date for you. But all the questions, we simplify them and add them to the FAQ part of our website anyway, so check that out on the BBA website. So we do have a couple of questions. First one is from Asim, and it quite simply is, what if we have a BBA agreement certificate? Do we still need UKCA?
Yes, there are two different things. The agreement certificate effectively goes far further and into more depth than UKCA marking. UKCA marking is a mandatory requirement set out under construction product regulations, and this goes back to 2013 when it came in for CE marking, and that says that if you fall under a harmonised standard, you must UKCA mark. BBA is agreement certificate is a voluntary thing, but it goes far further in offering assurance on longevity of performance, durability, etc. It assesses far more criteria generally. So it tends to be a more robust way of proving to the market what your product does. UKCA marking, in the nicest possible way, just says that you comply with the minimum standard.
Fantastic, thanks for that clarity. So we've got a few questions from Kane here. So the first one I'm going to actually tackle, and that is, what does PAC stand for? So PAC is Product Approval and Certification. So that is our department that covers elements such as the agreement certification, and it's full of very, very, very clever people that know a lot about construction, a lot about the industry, and a lot about the specifics and product specific market and all that kind of stuff. So that is kind of what Product Approval and Certification department, PAC department, does within the BBA. But Kane then goes on to ask two further questions. The first one is, I just can't see all of it, so I'll ask the second one. Can the UKCA and CE mark logos be put side by side on a label?
Yes, and the website, the UK Gov website, will confirm that now. When you're doing it, and this really would be encouraging most people, because if you continue to sell to Northern Ireland, and obviously with Republic, or if you're selling to the EU, then they're all still maintaining CE marking. It should, the general thing is that the two markings are distinct from each other. Be side by side, not a problem, but you should be of same size and clarity for both. But yes, you can, Kane.
Cool, excellent. So final one from Kane, and then we'll wrap up, I think. The question is, can a BBA test report issued in 2020, when BBA was a NANDO listed notified test lab, with testing to a BSEN standard, be used for UKCA without BBA reissue as an approved body? I think there's a few things there. Okay,
well, let me tackle that part of it. Yes. As long as your test report is UK issued, obviously the BBA one is UK issued, then that is fine for UKCA marking. So if you're under AVCP 3, where the requirement is for using those tests, or if you're under AVCP 1+, and that forms part of it. But if that testing was done by the BBA, it was done in 2000, yes, you can use that, that's fine. Obviously, the issue you'll have with that is you would need an EU notified version of it for CE marking. So yes, go ahead, Kane, and feel free to contact me to discuss that if you want more clarity. But essentially, yes, your UK test data you can use for UKCA marking.
Fantastic. So Jason, just before I wrap up and say thanks to everybody and all that kind of jazz, any final words or anything you'd like to say?
Well, firstly, thanks to everyone for taking time out of your morning to listen to this. I did worry when Peter at the beginning gave the build-up saying fun and entertaining. I'm not sure that there's too much way of making UKCA sound fun, but hopefully it's been informative. So thanks to everyone for that. What I would say is, If you do have any questions or doubts about whether you need to do it, do get in touch with the BBA. Do get in touch as soon as possible. Just because we're saying this doesn't necessarily need to be done until the end of December this year, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work coming in. Timescales will go out. At the moment, we're trying to get all the things turned around within about 2 months. But please do engage with us at the earliest opportunity. It may take us a while to sort of go through all your requirements and what's required as well. So please do jump on these things at the earliest opportunity. It will make it easy for everyone in the long run. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jason. A big thanks to everybody for being here. Like Jason said, for taking time out of your morning, it's very much appreciated. Hopefully you're gaining a lot of value. You should be gaining a lot of value from these webinars, of which we have 2 left. So I'll put another link in the chat to where you can register for the final 2, where we'll be covering UKCA transition from ETA, and we'll also be looking at post-certification maintenance on Friday. So check those out at that link. And finally, from me, Jason, and the BBA in general, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in the very near future.
Thanks all.